Freedom, after Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina De Jesus from the Ariel Castro case, a collaboration between Arriaga, Anya Klimitchev, and Hailee Smith. 2207 Seymour Avenue.
Amanda Berry. What a place for a child to be born. No, it is not a hospital. No, it is not my house. At least I did not want to believe that it was.
2207 Seymour Avenue
was a place of torture, a place of brutality, and a place of no escape. Yet promises of escape would still haunt me, with old and musty mattresses and a simple bucket for a bathroom, giving birth into the arms of another woman held captive with me. And how Jocelyn looked like him, the dude. But she was mine. She is mine. And she became our precious, welcomed distraction.
11 years.
11 million times I begged and pleaded for my life. 11 million times I begged and pleaded for the sake of my little girl, and
nothing.
Nothing compares to the dirt and filth that became our lives. No one really knows what it's like to live in fear, to live in chains and constantly have to be hungry. No one knows what will become of you.
11 years later, we are left scarred and bruised with no real knowledge of life without darkness. 2207 Seymour Avenue, Michelle Knight. He has held baby blankets that were now woven from strands of my hair, drank from bottles that was filled with milk from another woman's breast. But freedom is empty cradles that will never touch his velvet skin, and freedom is all the birthday cards I plastered on the walls of that house that he will never see, is the way that I cannot say his name because my mouth is an unforgiving learner to unfamiliar syllables. My child died when I should have, but no one has the heart to tell me that. Because freedom is what I search for in bedposts and blood and handcuffs and unlocked doors and running and running and running. I am a mannequin that will never be worth anything, and freedom is the way I'm sorry sounds a lot like his name before his name wasn't his name anymore, before he was told not to love me anymore, before he didn't love me anymore. The way his name sounds a lot like hot breath and screaming and miscarriage and fight and fight and fight. Because freedom is apologies and pleading and begging and screaming and milk curdling and unlocked doors and running and running and running. 2207 Seymour Avenue.
Gina De Jesus. Pain is what I remember, disgust is what I feel, hope is non-existent because being a child is too much to hope for in this gruesome reality. No one can stand the fact that innocence exists in our society. I was supposed to be blessed since birth, but why wasn't that the case? When reality struck, all I could feel was pain, disgust is what I felt, and hope didn't exist. The shadows of others accompanied me as I lived through this void of desperation.
No one knows if he was just my imagination, visions of a reality better than the one I was exposed to every night.
The piercing screams echo through my mind. I feel numb today. Because I was old enough, they said. It was due to chance, they said. Is that the truth? In this reality I live in, I dreamed of the sky many times with this only concocted and unrecognizable disgust for my own wishes. I wasn't real. We weren't real. The only thing that reminded me of my reality was the darkness, the lack of happiness and truth. Only when the hands of a demon violently stripped me of my conscience did I begin to forget what was my reality.
I did not wish this upon myself. I felt a demon of hate take life inside me, killing me spiritually, physically. 2207 Seymour Avenue, Michelle Knight. And reporters remember me for being tiny and full of flight, not a shepherd who never found a flock, a river who was long dried up. But freedom is the way that no one will ever call me mother, the way no one will have a birth certificate with my name on it, the way he will never be able to account for all the time I lost with the way his hands fit perfectly inside mine. My body is made from quarters and copper, and all the bad things I do not want to think about anymore, all the bad things the reporters do not ask me about anymore. All the bad things my son probably knows me, a stranger, on daytime talk shows for. My life has been one big nightmare, and even he will never be able to dream about me in fairy tales, be able to look for my face in a crowded room full of crow and unwilling conversation, be able to recognize the way my smile droops now as a manneristic Picasso. He will grow up never knowing I love you, Mom, is a lie, perching a picture in his mind of a mother that never knew what it was like to miss him, and God, do I miss him, but I do not know him. Cannot pick his photo out of a portrait. Cannot pick his portrait out of a photo lineup, and I will never know him. Will live my life sitting in parking lots and parks and the rubble of that God-forsaken house, building a perfect boy out of stones and snapshots and broken limbs of other people's children. Because freedom is hoping that one day, maybe I'll have a real boy. Freedom is all the things I do not want to think about anymore.
2207 Seymour Avenue. Gina De Jesus. because the only reminder I had of this life was the scarring nights that were different from the norm, the ones that induced pain and mental frustrations, immense hate for the sugar-coated realities of the world. I cannot believe in what is real and what is imagination anymore. They all bled together. Similar to the stains of red on the floor, similar to the bruises shared amongst us, connected by an undesirable truth that what I was and what we were was disgusting. These chains that bound me to an eternal life of hatred for myself, for the demon who I can no longer feel. It's cold tonight. What is the difference between night and day? Because frankly, there is no longer a distinction between the two, because my body was no longer my own, because my thoughts were no longer my own, and God forbid my voice belonging to me. The chains binding my ankles to this dimensional madness that I am enwrapped in is tiring. I no longer see the difference between my wounds and theirs. We bleed together, suffer together, grieve together. Comforting, right?
2207 Seymour Avenue, Amanda Berry. But my family, they never gave up. We constantly watched tapes of them on the news, waiting, watching for anything. Any lead, or just something they could hold onto for hope. Hope was all we had. All we had to hold on to, Jocelyn, my little girl. Hope and faith is what helped her live through that misery, and we overcame it. There was no moment where giving up was even an option. No moment can compare to the moment we stepped out that front door, and I almost gave in to fear. But I squeezed my little arm through the door with my girl in my arms, and suddenly we were free. And now we have a chance to rebuild our lives, to put to sleep that misery and make a light.
We can be a guiding force against the terror others carry. We are survivors of a misunderstood tragedy, yes, but also a story about overcoming the worst that life can lay at your feet over at 2207 Seymour Avenue.
Thank you.